Madam President, what I would like to do now is read a resolution in regards to a censuring regarding School Board Trustee Member Salwa Fawaz. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Crestwood School District, which is held on September 14th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. This following preamble is a resolution is offered by Board Member Eduardo Garcia. Waiting for support, sorry.
Oh, support.
And is being supported by Trustee Board Member Sue Kaminsky. Whereas, in the light of an incident involving Board Member Salwa Fawaz on June 15th, 2020 at 12:30 a.m., in which she engaged in a verbal and physical altercation involving, among others, students of the Crestwood School District, which resulted in a filing of a police report and a criminal investigation. Whereas, in the light of an incident on August 3rd, 2020, in which Mrs. Fawaz deliberately and without provocation used her hip to shove and or push Board Member Nadia Berry and then yelled at Miss Berry, which behavior was witnessed by members of the community. Whereas Mrs. Fawaz's behavior in these incidents is contrary to both the standard of behavior the board reasonably expects the board members, as well as board policy 1950F3, specifically code of conduct, number 1, keep students' best interest first. Number 2, make a commitment to have a working relationship with all board members. And number 18, treat each other with dignity and respect. Whereas the board finds that Mrs. Fawaz's behavior has disrupted the working relationship between board members and impaired the reputation of the board. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the board finds that Mrs. Fawaz ignored her responsibility as a board member, in particular, her responsibility to comply with board policy 1950F3, numbers 1, number 2, and number 18, and failed to reflect upon the likely adverse effect her conduct would have on the reputation and work, the Board of Education and this district. As a result, this resolution shall be considered a censure of Mrs. Fawaz's actions and her capability as a board member of the Crestwood School District Board of Education. Number 2, this resolution shall be included within the minutes of this meeting.
Okay, so I'd like to respond.
One moment. First, we have to, we don't take a vote first on this, do we?
No, we do like anything else. We discussed it.
Mrs. Fawaz, I'm not asking you. Okay, so I'm sorry, I was lost. I completely lost what I'm doing here. So then we have the resolution. It's been brought forward. Do we have any discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Fawaz, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to know, where did this conversation take place to come to this? Why wasn't I notified before this? Writing it down in the agenda, okay, is not notification to me. And where are the facts to support this?
The conversation you're referring to is, what you're asking is, how did this come about? How did this decision come about?
How did the board discuss it to come about right now?
Several board members had asked for you to be censured, is how it came about.
So you met individually, you called each other? How? I'm asking how.
Well,
May I interject in this? I didn't know anything about this until yesterday or the day before yesterday, until I got my board packet. I had no idea. No idea. I was in the dark as much as you.
There were board members that had come forward and asked. There were board members who didn't. But there were several board members that wanted you to be censured. So that's how this got started.
You're not answering my question.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I reached out to the board president with the situation that took place with me. I wanted it on record. and I made sure that she reached out to the attorney with my situation. I want it on record. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. There was more than Mrs. Berry had come to me several times and asked for a censuring. And I avoided it, hoping that conversation would work and conversation would make things better. And it just seemed to escalate. So when
Okay.
Mrs. Berry did come to me, then I had no choice.
Okay, so again, how? Was it just Mrs. Berry that came to you? Was this all via phone? Was it all?
It is not. No, I'm not going to be questioned in the like. It was not just Mrs. Berry. It was other board members that, in fact, there were many board members that had come to me about behavior, about attitude during board meetings, about attitude outside as a board member. So no, Mrs. Berry is coming forward, but she was definitely not the only person that had an issue with their behavior.
Okay, so again, maybe Gara needs to respond to this. I'd like to know why I'm being ambushed. You're still not answering the question. I'd like to know how the conversations between the board members took place. Where did they take place? Where are the facts to support this? And why wasn't I notified?
Okay, I can tell you I've received people call me. I'm the president. They call me with an issue. I've had people come to me after board meetings about your behavior at board meetings. I've had all kinds of ways of people communicating with me. They come to me.
May I interject too?
Yes.
Donna, I'm sorry. May I interject? I had a concern over, I called Donna a lot over everything, and these things get discussed while we're talking. But I did say something about you saying nay at every when we go to accept the consent agenda. You were saying nay, and you never gave a reason. And when I first became a board member, in the classes that we were all taking at the time, this was back a while, but it said if you're going to disagree with the whole, you need to discuss it at a study session, try and wheedle it out, and if you can't, the last resort is to come and not be a full force 7 yes. And so that hasn't happened, and I just wondered if it was still that way, if it still works that way. If you have a problem with something on the agenda, it should be discussed if you're not going to vote for it. And if you're not, and if that doesn't work, then you are entitled to vote your nay. But it was just nay, 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 and it doesn't look good for this board who has become quite a team. I just think we should all work as a team. I'm sick of this baloney that's going on. And when I saw, I'll be honest, Salwa, I have always treated you with respect. And I saw a video of you pulling some girl's hair and falling down on the cement in front of a hookah lounge. And that totally shocked me. And I called Mrs. Ansnick when I saw the video, and I didn't say, crucify her or anything. I said, what happened? What's going on? And that's my part in this is we have to get along. We have to start working together, and we can't be constantly at odds with one another. It doesn't work that way. We've gotten along so well for 20 years, and this is the first time I've ever seen us with one member of the board voting nay on many, many things. And I want to know what's going on and why you always feel like you're being picked on. I have always been fair with you, Salwa, always.
Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Garcia.
If I could, I would just like to make a comment. I know that this resolution is read by me, so I don't have an issue with that, but I would also like to say that I agree exactly with what Vice President Krasanik is saying. I think that we've all been supporters of each other. I mean, we're all work with one another. And I believe that I've said it before, that there are times that we as board members may agree to disagree, but when we finally tunnel it all through, as it was just said by Vice President Krasanik, we all try to come to the table with level heads, with all of the information, so we can make the best educated decision. And I have to say, I was a little shocked at some of the nay votes. Regardless, I was also a recipient of of a few videos that showed an altercation. Mine was silent, but it showed some type of altercation involving a member of the Board of Education. And, you know, what are you going to do about this? That's not my position to do anything. I'm not there. I don't know what or who or what transpired over this, but it's something that's happened and it's not in my hands. I don't deal with that type of stuff. But I know that it's important because this resolution is important because this is a topic that has been brought to the table before. This is not new. And I do believe that when this was discussed several months ago, I was in support of, in I guess in a way, supported it and wanted to make sure that Mrs. Fawaz understood that, hey, no one's going after anybody, but we all, as a team, need to work together. We need to be a team. We need to work together. And in spite of that, we might agree, we might disagree, but let's work together as a team. Tell us exactly what's going on and let's be a team. Let's
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I think we all agree with that because we all conduct ourselves as we should. This what we've got here, this resolution is for situations that have already happened. Moving forward is what we plan to do, but this is recognizing and getting in the record situations that have happened, the behavior that has happened, and that's what this is about.
Right. Yes.
Not the future, but this is about
the current things at hand.
Right.
So where is the notification? Okay. And I disagree with Nadia's statement. And hopefully there's witness statements and proofs of that. And they provided that to you. Otherwise, you're really just taking one board member's word over another. And also, what does that mean? What do you think that means to, I don't know, if you were to censor, and are you telling me that this video went around? I cannot comment on that particular event because it's still under investigation and it's in legal matters right now. So I will not comment any further about that video, except the fact that I can't believe that the board members had this go around between themselves and nobody called me just to even ask me about it. Okay. And I would tell you at that point, it's with legal. Okay. So we can't comment. However, I would have liked to have said, hey, what happened? Also, again, where is the notification of this? Not just written in the agenda.
I don't, Gar, if you could help me out here.
Sure.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, the notification is the agenda. And I just wanted to also comment a little bit on how this came about, just to clarify. I was contacted by Mrs. Antonek and then Mrs. Berry. They were the only two I had a conversation with about this. And it's my understanding.
Sorry, you just said Mrs. Berry contacted you. Isn't this one of the major issues that you guys had a couple of months back about me contacting you?
I was given permission by the board president.
Right. I'm sorry.
So,
you.
Yeah, and I'll just confirm that Mrs. Antonek called me first, and based on that conversation, I suggested she had Miss Berry contact me. So that's how that came about. And this was something that Mrs. Berry was interested in doing. So we talked through different options. She was the one I spoke with primarily. I had no conversations with any other board members. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Gary. I talked to you in regards to my situation.
Correct. And so I just want to clarify that as far as I'm aware, Mrs. Antonek and Mrs. Berry were the only two I spoke to with regard to this, to putting this together at their request.
That's right.
Mrs. Antonek? You're muted.
Mrs.
Antonek?
Yes.
I called you as well on a few occasions if it was a specific meeting that I had a problem with. And I did mention that to you at that meeting, Mrs. Fawaz, when I felt that you weren't paying attention to the meeting and there was a lot of sidebarring going on. And then also regarding the June incident that happened at like 12:30 at night. It was on Facebook and other venues of social media. It did go around. Things like that do go around. And so I had expressed concerns also.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see that video from a board member, by the way. I'm not going to say where I saw it, but I'm not on Facebook, so it was shown to me, but it wasn't shown to me by a board member.
Many board members approached me individually without even the knowledge of the other board members approaching me with concerns about your attitude, your attitude, your conduct, issues of the like. And many of them asked that you be censured because conversation with you is futile. And those are the words, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what's come to me. Therefore, with that information, I had this group of board members that were unhappy with your performance, embarrassed by your actions, and I took that to the lawyer and said, what do you recommend? At the same time, I heard from Mrs. Berry and I said, why don't you call her? We need to give her all the information we can so that we can make an educated move here. Do you understand what a censuring is?
So no, I'd like you to explain exactly what you think that is to me, so I know where you're at with it. But also for Gary, you represent every board member. So are you telling me that the agenda was the notification? That's your legal opinion to me. I can't hear, you're on mute.
Yes.
Okay, so in your professional opinion, the agenda was the notification?
Correct.
Yeah, all
The
right.
agenda was a notification for myself as well, because I had no knowledge of it prior. So, I mean, I would assume that that would be the notification for the entire board.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'd like to say is prior to any of this happening, I was not a board member, like the incidents that took place. And some of the things that happened as a community member, I was deeply concerned about. I don't know how you guys as a board were handling those situations, but looking from the outside in at the time, I had many concerns. And so again, at the time, being a community member, to see videos of a board member, I mean, Salwa,
Right.
I mean, I hope you understand that you had to know how that looked from the outside. I mean, whether or not we knew the details, I believe as an adult, as a mother, we could remove ourselves from situations like that without being now something being recorded and plastered everywhere. I'm not saying I know the details. I'm just saying that as an adult, as a mother, as a board member, there's choices that we make, and you probably could have removed yourself from that situation.
Right.
So again, Gary, you represent everyone. As far as the June 15th incident, I cannot currently comment on because of where it's at. So I can't do that. So I can't give you the details. I can't show you the entire, I can't give you that. However, okay, again, there's no proof of anything else. And as far as, I mean, really saying that I don't vote with the group and I'm being
That wasn't what was
ambushed and
said.
not going with the group,
That's not what was said, no.
that's one of the items that was said, is that
No,
I voted
you do
no on
not-
the-
No, not that we don't
No.
vote with the group. That's not what I said. Let's be honest.
Colleen,
I
you just
said
said
that
I
there were-
said no on the consent agenda before, and I said
Well,
no.
you said, I
You said
did
without
say that. I said,
discussing.
can I finish?
Madam Chair, if I could.
All right. We can all talk at once, one at a time. Go ahead, Colleen.
I just said there were nays going everywhere. Nay, 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 nay. And my opinion and what I was taught when I first became a board member is if you are in disagreement with the rest of the board as a whole, you are to try to make your case, try to make us understand where you're coming from. And if all else fails, you're entitled to your nay. but I've never heard you say one thing to any board member about why you were voting nay or talking or discussing it with us. And I just thought it looked really bad to our public, who we are sworn to defend these children, and the parents have a right to say that it looks bad for a nay, 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 nay every single meeting. And it was very, very troublesome to me. And I got to be honest with you too, Salwa. I normally wouldn't say anything about this, but the day my husband would say on social media that he had people that had better pedigree than certain members of the board, that was the most humiliating, nasty, horrible thing I have ever heard in my life. And that it hurt my feelings, because it's not fair to say that. I've worked for 22 years for the kids in this district, and it wasn't fair to say things like that. And then I got riled. And I don't mean to take it out on you, but you were doing things too. So that's why I didn't ask for I might have at one point asked for a censure. Did I, Donna? I don't even remember. It's been so long that these things.
Yes, you have. And
okay.
There were many times. It's every.
I'm an honest person. I'll give you an honest answer. I've always tried to get along with you when everybody else wasn't. I kept trying and asking how you are, and you did kind things to me when my mother passed. But Salwa, we've got to work as a team, and you haven't been working as a team with us. That's all. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm done.
Mrs. Antonek?
Yes, Mrs. Kaminsky.
I think we could go on all night with specifics. I think we should go with a vote.
Okay.
I mean, and Colleen, I do ask questions. A lot of times don't get the answers. We still never got the billing details from January to date on the attorney billings. We still have the June 8th letter that my attorney sent.
There are things that haven't.
I don't know anything about that.
All right, hold on.
You also represent me as a board member. You should have reached out to me to investigate this, to discuss it.
Okay, let me just say something. My job is not to say that you guys should or should not do this. I was asked to prepare something. I prepared it. That's all. I have no opinion on whether the board should pass this resolution or not. That is for the board to decide. Your opportunity to present your side of the story, Mrs. Fawaz, is tonight, and the board can vote to adopt the resolution or not.
Right.
And you're correct. I represent you as a board member, but I also represent Mrs. Antonek and Mrs. Berry as board members. And they're the ones that came to me and said, this is what has happened. It's not my job to investigate. That's for the board to decide. They asked me, what could they possibly do? I said, not much. The only thing really within the board's purview, because you are an elected official, is a censure. And if that's what you want, I'll prepare something. But it's ultimately the board's decision on whether or not to adopt it. That's why we're not in closed session, and I'm not giving a legal opinion as to whether or not that should happen. This is ultimately and solely the board's decision based on the resolution, the facts that they know, the facts that you present, and any other considerations that you all might have when you vote on this.
Okay. I think Mrs. Kaminsky is correct. We can go back and forth all night. I know what people have brought to me. That's why how this originated, I should say. And I don't think we need to belabor it any further.
Well, Donna, I'd like to hear what you define as the censure. If this is approved, what does that mean?
It's not my definition. I'm not the state of Michigan. All I am is the board president. So I have people come to me with complaints or concerns. Can you
want to answer that?
Well, a censure is, I'm sorry, Mrs.
Yes, please, sorry.
Okay. So a censure is essentially a reprimand, if you would. Because you're an elected official, the board's ability to take any action against you is limited by the fact that your position as a board member is subject to election, recall, re-election by the electorate. So they don't have the ability to remove you. They don't have you're not an employee of the district, obviously. So the district can't itself take action like it would with an employee. So as a matter of, there's no like law that says censuring is the right of the board. It's part of Robert's rules and things like that. This is a mechanism that the board has to call out what they may feel is improper behavior or violation of board policies or whatever the case may be. So that's what a censure is. You can view it as a reprimand, I guess, is the best way to view it.
So if this is solely the board's decision, should my attorney contact you or personally the people of the board?
Well, I represent the board. So if you have an attorney that's representing you in a conflict with the board or in a cause of action with the board, then they should reach out to me.
So can I ask a question? Let's just say Mrs. Fawaz brings her attorney.
Yes.
And we rack up attorney fees. What could resolve from an attorney contacting you, Gary? Like, I mean, if the board votes on a resolution, what can Mrs. Fawaz in turn do to the board besides costing the district money?
I don't know what the remedy is against the district. I'm not going to speak, how do I say it? I don't want to do Mrs. Fawaz's attorney's job for her.
Right. I guess I'm just trying to understand. I mean, it's basically a disapproval of actions by a board member.
Yeah.
It's an ambush. It's harassment.
Madam Chair, I move to take a vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Oh, hang on. You can't.
I'm done.
I will say that. I think that it's time because it's just going to get escalating in its nastiness. So, having said that, I just call for a vote. Is that right, Gary? So all that are in favor of the censure indicate by saying aye.
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 Any that are opposed?
Nay.
Nay. So that is, if I'm not mistaken, that is 6-1, correct? Somebody get that? Where are you, Secretary? Yes.
I'm here. I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Everybody, Donna, is it? Yes.
Do you want to do? All right, let's do a roll call.
I
vote.
think you need a roll call. I think that's appropriate.
Okay, Miss Antoinette?
Aye.
Miss Berry, aye. Miss Fawaz is
Nay.
nay. Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Janoon?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Yes.
Ms. Krasanik?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. So then the resolution has been adopted by a 6-1 vote. And that is finished.
Madam Chair.
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion from Mrs. Krasanik.
Support.
All right, support from Mrs. Kaminsky to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are. Thank you.
Have a good night.